Welcome back to Barbecue in Bottles, and today we're making homemade bacon. And if there is one video on this channel that I can encourage you to try and share with your friends and family, it's homemade bacon. This was my gateway drug into getting into barbecue over a decade ago. One of my buddies, Chris, and his father made this, and it blew my mind how much better it was than what you can get at the grocery store. So if you're into that kind of thing, stick with us. So the first thing for this recipe, you'll need to procure yourself some great pork belly. So we went to our butcher and we got roughly 13.5 pounds of pork belly here. And another thing I'd recommend is ask your butcher to actually remove the skin. You can do it yourself, but just save yourself the hassle and have them do it. They've got extremely sharp knives. It's a lot easier for them to do than you to try to do it at your house. So the first step here, we're gonna have to weigh our pork belly. This comes out at 6.2 kilos. Now the reason we're doing so much of this bacon is A, it's amazing. Secondly, we drop a bunch off on our friends, and it just, I promise you, it's not gonna last that long at your house, so you might as well make a large batch. Now we need to know the exact weight because it's really important for the amount of cure that we're gonna use here. So we're gonna take off about 100 grams of that weight just to account for the elastics and the butcher's paper here, and then we'll build our cure based on that. So before we build our cure here, we need to know how much of it to make. Now our pork belly weighs 6.1 kilos, and so we need to make 2.5% of the weight of your pork belly worth of cure. So that works out to be 153 grams. Now for the cure itself, 60% of the cure is going to be salt, 30% of the cure is going to be sugar, and then 10% of the cure is going to be curing salt or prog powder number 1. Now we'll just mix that up. So we'll drop those portions down in the description below and just make sure you follow those, and you can make the cure specific to the size of the pork belly that you're dealing with. So we've got our 2 slabs of pork belly here out of the fridge. Now we're gonna cut these into 2 individual pieces, and then we'll apply our brine. Now it's important, just I should have mentioned, the reason why we actually weigh this all out is you don't want your bacon to be too salty. And so I've made this before where I didn't actually weigh out the measurements and I just smothered the bacon with salt, and frankly it ended up being too salty. So now that we've got our 4 slabs cut up, the first step is just applying a thin layer of maple syrup, and this is what we're gonna use as binder, plus it'll add a really nice sweetness to the flavor profile of the bacon. Now we're just gonna take our cure and roughly half of it for this side and just lightly sprinkle that over top of our bacon here. You can just tell how good this pork belly is. There's just a ton of muscle. It's not all gonna be fat. Now I'll flip it over and we'll do the same on the other side. Again, hit it with some maple syrup, and then go in with our cure. Now to get the sides of your bacon, just get some of that excess by picking up your slab and just tapping it around and absorbing all that extra cure that's hit the board. This smells absolutely incredible. So now we're gonna add some aromatics. We're going in with some freshly cracked black pepper. Then we've got thyme, rosemary, and some bay leaves here. Now you can use whatever aromatics that you want, and that's the beauty of making it yourself. You can tailor this recipe to whatever you prefer. We've heard some people using juniper berries, some people using garlic salt or garlic cloves, garlic powder. You can really just play around and see what actually works for you. So we're going in with a generous amount of black pepper here. You know what? For so much black pepper, I think we need a different pepper grinder. All right, that's not practical. So before we add the rest of the aromatics here, we're just gonna get these into our vac seal bags. Now you can use Ziploc bags if you don't have a vac sealer. This just saves a little bit of mess in your fridge. Now if you are using Ziploc bags, just make sure you'll put these over top of a cookie tray when you put them in the fridge to cure away, because there's gonna be a lot of moisture that actually gets sucked out of the pork belly from the cure. That's gonna draw this moisture out and give it that bacony texture that we're looking for. So now that we've got our pork belly all in our bags here, We're gonna ruffle up some rosemary. We're gonna ruffle up some thyme sprigs just so that it releases all the aromatics. We're gonna get these in here over top of the bacon. And you can see why I'm saying now, if you're gonna be making a batch of this, you might as well make a big batch. It's literally just as easy to be making a large batch of these as it is a small one. Get some bay leaves in there. Get one more rosemary sprig. We're gonna get these vac sealed up and we'll put them in the fridge for between 7 to 10 days, and we'll rotate these every day just to make sure, as the liquid comes out, that we're getting an even level of cure and doneness all around our pork belly. So we've had our bacon in the fridge for about 10 days here, and you can see there's a bunch of moisture that's been wicked out of the bacon just with that dry cure that we used. So now we're just gonna rinse off all the cure and the seasonings here. Now using cold water, you just wanna get your seasonings off there. And we're just gonna take some paper towel, pat this down nice and dry. So now we've got our bacon all washed up here. Now that we've taken these out of the cure and rinsed them down, because we use the exact measurements, we don't need to put them in any kind of water bath. If you didn't use the exact measurements for the salt cure, what I'd really suggest is you just slice off a little piece of bacon, fry it up, and just see how salty it is. If it's too salty, then get some cold water in the sink and put your bacon slabs or your pork belly in the sink for at least 30 minutes, and then try it again. Slice off a little piece, fry it up, test the saltiness, and just repeat that until you get your bacon to the level of saltiness that you prefer. So ideally, you don't have 2 layers of bacon, but we just made a ton, so we don't really have a choice. If you just go with 1 layer, you'll get better air circulation and better pellicles that form. So we're gonna put this in the fridge and we'll bring you back overnight, and then we'll smoke these guys up. So it's the next day, we've had the bacon in the fridge forming a pellicle overnight, and now we've got our 2 smokers. And what we're actually gonna do, we'll take some of this bacon and we'll hot smoke it, and then we're gonna cold smoke it in the other smoker. We've got our 2 Bradley smokers, our traditional one, and then the professional P10 version. So this one's gonna be our hot smoke, this will be our cold smoke, and let's show you how we get this set up. So first, we're just gonna take out 2 of the racks here and get our bacon on there. Now when you get your bacon on the rack, you wanna push it together a little just to make sure you're getting a really nice thick slice of bacon. As this smokes, it's really gonna firm up in whatever shape that you put it in. That's really the final shape of your pork belly or your bacon. So let's get this in here. We've got loads of space to do more if we had to. So we've got the bacon in the smokers here. We've got our hot smoker set for 4 hours at 160 Fahrenheit. Halfway through the cook, you're gonna wanna up the temperature of the smoker to 200 degrees Fahrenheit, and make sure you have a meat probe in your bacon, because you wanna make sure that you take your bacon off when you hit an internal of 145. At 145, it's done cooking and it's ready to come off. You don't want your bacon to pass 145 degrees Fahrenheit. Otherwise, the fat will start to render out of the bacon, and we want to keep all of that goodness inside of the pork belly. Now for our cold smoker unit, we've got the actual firebox detached from the actual cook chamber itself, and this is a special cold smoking accessory that you can get for the Bradley smokers here. And it really allows you to remove the heat of the actual smoke generation from the little wood biscuits from the actual cook chamber itself. So there'll be 0 heat in here. We're just gonna get all that smoky goodness. Now we're using applewood for both of these, so the flavor profile should otherwise be the same. And then we'll see in a little experiment at the end which one we like better. So we've got our bacon in off the smokers. We've got the hot smoked bacon, this beautiful, rich, dark mahogany red that smells absolutely incredible. And then we have the cold smoked bacon. Here, it's a lot more like raw pork belly. If you smell it, there's a little bit of that apple smoke flavor profile, but it's nowhere near as rich as the hot smoked bacon. So normally before you carve into this, you want to put it in the fridge overnight so it cools down your bacon, and it will just make it easier for you to slice in. But we just don't have the time here, and this smells absolutely incredible. So we're gonna slice in. Just look at that cross section. All right, now we're gonna slice up the cold smoked bacon. You can definitely tell as you're slicing through this, this is not cooked. You absolutely have to sear this bacon off in a cast iron pan before you actually eat it. So now we're gonna sear these two pieces of bacon off against one another, then we'll do the final taste test. All right, we've got my dad in here, the official taste tester. He's gonna provide you the unbiased perspective on which bacon's better. So we're gonna carve off two little pieces here. And now we're gonna start. Here, grab one of those. Okay, before we provide our opinions, we've gotta try the second bacon. So what are your thoughts?
I'm thinking they're pretty close. I'm going to go for the cold smoked bacon because it's more of a texture of bacon that I'm used to.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go for the hot smoked bacon because I think it has a richer smoke flavor than the cold smoked bacon. It definitely has a bit more of a ham type texture than the regular bacon type texture and flavor profile, but I really like that. So now that the official taste test is over, we're gonna get all this bacon vac sealed up. Just look at how much bacon we have. It's ridiculous here. Give away some of this as presents, give it to your best friends. And if you have not tried making your own homemade bacon, really, I beg you, if there's one of our videos to give a shot, it's this one. Homemade bacon is what got me into barbecue in the first place, and you are gonna love this. So if you like this video, give it a like below. Drop us a comment if you got some feedback. Consider subscribing to the channel if you think we earned it, and we'll see you on the next one.